So today's continuation of what we've done before. Okay, we're going to look at a few problems and then you're going to add to your assignment. So up here on the board, you notice we've got sine of beta over 1 plus cosine beta plus 1 plus cosine beta over sine beta equals 2 cosecant beta. And so then the question is, what do you do? Okay, obviously we worked on the most complicated side. That was our tip. Where's the most complicated side?
The left side?
The left side. So I'm going to start by the left side. And if you notice there, I've got fractions. So what do you think you should do?
I think you should multiply the side and do the denominator.
Can you find a common denominator? No, you can't cancel because it's not multiplication. You would have been correct. Okay, but it's not multiplication. So I'm going to multiply this one by sine. And I'm going to multiply the second one by 1 plus cosine. So then now, if I go ahead and do my multiplication, getting a common denominator, multiply those, what do you get? Sine squared beta. In the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and write that as one whole fraction. In the bottom, I'm going to get sine beta times 1 plus cosine beta. Okay. Now I'm going to add that to, how do you multiply 1 plus cosine times 1 plus cosine?
Foil?
FOIL, yep. So here I got two quantities. So let's start with foiling. I'm going to take 1 times 1, which is 1. I'm going to take 1 times cosine, which is cosine. And so I actually end up with 2 cosine because that's going to be my inner terms as well. And then my last terms will be cosine squared. And I want to show that that equals 2 cosecant b. Oop, forgot a c in there. There we go. Now you're going to notice here that in the numerator I've got a bunch of stuff. Okay. So.
Oh, you can cancel out a sign, can't you?
No. You can do it. No, you can yeah.
What does that equal?
That right there equals
Sine squared plus cosine squared is 1.
Oh,
So I end up having 1 plus 1, which is 2 plus 2 cosine beta. We're very close right now.
There's a 2.
There's a 2. There we go. We're getting closer. And so then now, what should I do?
Foil the bottom. No.
Nope. Leave the bottom in factored form.
Oh, you see.
Can you take out the 2 from the
Yeah,
2 plus
exactly.
2?
Perfect.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
2 in both terms on the top. So if I take a 2 out, I'm left with
1 plus cosine beta.
1 plus cosine beta.
Hey, look at that. You can
In the
cancel those
bottom,
out.
I've got sine beta times 1 plus cosine beta. Equals 2 cosecant beta.
Cross those
So
out.
then now, your cosines, you're going to notice cancels. And I'm going to be left with 2 over sine, which is equivalent to 2 cosecant.
Oh my god, that's awesome. Here, I'll air find you.
Very fun.
See how slick that worked?
What's the box for?
The box means that it's
Like a-
over. You've proved what you've needed to prove.
It makes you feel accomplished, actually.
There you go.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I feel.
So let's go ahead and look at another one. 1 plus cosecant over secant equals cosine plus cotangent.
No, stand up.
1 plus cosecant over secant equals cosine plus cotangent.
I think this side, the left side, is a little complicated.
Yeah, it has a fraction.
It does. The
Bottom
right
half
side-
makes it more complicated.
The right side has 2 alphas and a plus sign though.
Oh.
The left side has 2 alphas and a plus sign.
I would actually venture to say that the left side's probably a little more complicated. It's probably going to be our fastest route to get done with this. Okay. In looking at the left side, you obviously, if you look at that, you can't really multiply by the conjugate. Okay, because there is no conjugate in the bottom. And so I've got 1 plus cosecant over secant.
We change the sines and cosines.
You could change them to sine and cosine. I'm going to do one thing first before I do that.
Come on.
Notice here on the right side I've got 2 separate quantities. On the left side I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the bunny ear thing.
Oh.
Okay, remember the bunny ear thing? So what I'm going to do is do 1 over secant, and then I've got cosecant over secant. Now, I would have needed to do this right away, but the problem is, if you want to change things to sine and cosine, you're going to end up getting a fraction within a fraction. It's a lot easier to split it up now before. And so then now what ends up happening, if you switch everything to sine and cosine,
It equals.
1 over secant is what?
Cosine.
Cosine. Okay, so we've got that done. Now what we need to do is figure out about this cosecant and secant stuff. And so cosecant I know is cosine. Oh, take that back. I know. I was jumping the gun. I was thinking of the cosine one. So let's go ahead. Cosecant I know is 1 over sine. And I'm going to go ahead and divide that by secant, which is 1 over cosine. And I want to show that that equals cosine plus cotangent.
Well, when you divide, yeah, flip that bad boy around.
And so then, right, now, in order to divide two fractions, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So when I multiply by the reciprocal, I'm going to be multiplying by cosine over 1. And then we already can see that I'm left with cosine over sine. Cosine over sine, you know, is cotangent. So you've got cosine of alpha plus cotangent of alpha equals cosine of alpha plus cotangent of alpha.
Can you leave it like that then?
And you are done. What do you mean leave it like that?
Like you don't have to like switch cotangent and all that. Like it's all good. Yeah, never mind.
All right, so far so good. We got one more we're going to look at. And that's this one.
Oh, it's not stamps.
I have like gunk in my throat.
It's pretty easy.
You know, I'm gonna,
I'm gonna venture to say the left side is probably harder still.
yeah, that's, those are the exact words that I was
And
thinking.
the right side's got a fraction. It's got two different signs on it, plus and minus, with a solid line separating the two.
Because you can do the conjugate on the right side, which is pretty simple.
You should do right side. Left side.
And left side.
You should do left side.
That's what I was thinking. Conjugate.
Okay, there's a debate over whether to do the left side or the right side. If it were me, I would do the left side. Reason being, I noticed that the right side is written in terms of sine and cosine. So it's already written in terms of sine, cosine. The left side isn't. And so
Is
the
that
left
kind
side,
of
an
a-
option to simplify would be I could eventually switch it to sine and cosine. And so I know that secant, okay, is 1 over cosine. Okay. So I know that secant is 1 over cosine. Oops, undo that. Let's do that.
Gosh dang it.
I know that secant is 1 over cosine. I'm going to do something a little different than what I had done originally when I wrote this. And I know that tangent, shoot, there we go, is sine over cosine. And that is going to be squared.
Oh, and you can do that.
What we got there?
It's, yeah, something I was going to do, but I'm not going to do. I'm going to change my, every time I tap that, it's going to, crap. Okay, there we go. We'll get off that line.
And you can do that. It's 1 minus sine over cosine.
And so this comes out to be 1 minus sine over cosine. And I'm going to square that. And I want to show that that equals 1 minus sine over 1 plus sine. Okay, so now when you square something, that means you take it times itself, right? So really, on the top, I've got 1 minus sine beta times 1 minus sine beta. Now, I'm looking ahead and I'm thinking, great, I'm going to have to FOIL that out. But then I look to the right side and everybody see a 1 minus sine b. So I'm thinking, you know what, leave it in factored form. Don't FOIL it out. On the bottom, I get cosine squared beta. So, what do you do now?
Well,
Well, I know that cosine squared.
Cosine squared is what?
1
1 minus sine squared.
1 minus sine squared.
OMG, Caleb.
Hey, would you?
And what do you know about 1 minus sine squared?
You
You
can cancel
can
the one in
cancel
bed.
one
You
up
can do
top.
what?
Cancel one of the.
I'm looking for something a little bit more specific as to what you can do with the bottom.
Oh, you can do 1 plus sine squared.
There
and
we
one-
go.
Or 1 plus sine and 1 minus sine.
You can do 1 plus sine beta, 1 minus sine beta. Why can I do that?
It's two squares.
They're perfect squares, and remember, we're factoring the difference of two squares, okay? And so then now,
Not my-
when I do that, you end up seeing that you can cancel one of those. Okay, you can cancel one of those, and I'm left with 1 minus sine b on the left over 1 plus sine b,
Would you repeat that?
and that's gonna equal 1 minus sine b over 1 plus sine b.
That's just really cool.
And there you go,
Oh, that's it.
Is it?
and you're done.
That's so much.
Questions?
It's still as good as put a puzzle in there.
All right, what I need you to do is add to your assignment then.
That was perfect.
I need you to add on page 324, 10, 16, 20, 21, 26, 27, and 30. We're gonna be looking for a quiz sometime soon, maybe tomorrow. So 10, 16, 20, 21, 26, 27, and 30.